Good morning. Thanks for joining us. Hey, I want to share something that definitely I picked up from Bob Goff, and I think you will find it interesting. He talks about being invited to go to a gathering in Colorado, and he said he got invited at the last minute. And I would think most of the time if you're invited to speak somewhere, you get a lot of notice, right? Like you know it's coming, but he got the call the day before. He says the reason was pretty simple. All the other guests were pretty famous and someone canceled last minute. So he's pretty famous himself, I think. But they couldn't find anyone else to fill in. So when he got there, people were gathering in this really large room and surrounded by large paintings. So this isn't just like an auditorium. And he recognized one of the famous prints because his grandparents used to have a copy of it, like a print of it, that he thought they purchased at Target for $4. And that included the frame. And he said, I looked closer at this replica of my grandparents' painting. I noticed it was askew on the wall. So Heidi has given me this mug that says, I'm silently correcting your grammar. Well, I work very hard at my grammar, and I still make mistakes. But I had a mother who did not silently correct my grammar. She always did it verbally. And it was because she knew that I did public speaking, and she wanted me to say things properly. Well, anyway, I might mention one thing that I might correct in just a moment. But anyway, Bob says his parents raised him right, and he's at kind of like somebody else's house. So he said, I put my hands deep in my pockets. The painting was a little bit off. He's like, but I'm not going to go up there and do that. I'm like a guest. It's not my place to do it. He said, but someone near him, unfortunately, another guest wasn't raised by his parents or parents who taught him to do that. And so he went up and he straightened the painting. And when he did, all kinds of bells and alarms started to go off. Security guys appeared. And he said, I half expected some guy to come like down on a wire from the ceiling. Well, it turns out that this painting, it was not a print. It was not a copy. It was the original of whatever painting it was, and it was worth millions. Well, what he says is it's instinctive for some of us to straighten out furniture and paintings and, here's the thing, even people, if we think that they're a little bit off. But Jesus said something very interesting. It's one of his parables. It's found in Matthew chapter 13. I'm going to read verses 29 and 30. See, some guy, it's kind of like somebody has like a perfect putting green, and then overnight somebody puts all this crabgrass in there. And so then the servants are like, oh, we'll dig the crabgrass out. And the owner of the golf course says, no. If you do that, you're going to mess up the whole putting green. So leave it this way for a while. So in Matthew, it says, no, he answered, because while you're pulling the weeds, you may uproot the wheat with them. So it was wheat and weeds, but maybe the putting green was a little bit more modern for us, up to date. Let both grow together until the harvest. At that time, I will tell the harvesters, first collect the weeds and tie them in bundles to be burned, then gather the wheat and bring it into my barn. What Jesus is saying is, don't try to fix everything in the world. Don't try to uproot everything. And you know, sometimes there's people around us and it's kind of like, man, they're doing evil. And I'm not saying that you got a neighbor and that's your friend and they're doing something that's really going to harm themselves and their family. Doesn't mean you can't say something to them. But to try to uproot them, to get them out of society, you know, it might be 5 years, might be 10, might be 30 years from now. They find Jesus. And all those things that they did wrong, God's going to redeem those things in their life. So we need to put our trust in God that He knows what He's doing and He's going to sort things out at the end because He's sovereign. And this is His world, but we just live in it. So he concludes by saying, what would it look like for you to hit pause, resist the urge to straighten someone or something out, and let the good and the bad grow together, trusting God to sort it out when the time is right? Yeah, I think that's right. I think that would work just the best. And that one thing that I could correct, a lot of people think Illinois begins with an E. You don't hear too many people with the S at the end, but you hear a lot with the E at the beginning. I'm just saying, I didn't silently correct your grammar. You have a great day. God bless you.